going to see the, yeah, today we are going to see the brain part. Okay, the structure of the brain. Okay, so nothing much is there. Like when you see your 10th standard level, okay, so it is just a page. They have given human brain and they have given like what all parts are there. Okay, all those things. The hindbrain, the midbrain, and the forebrain. What are the parts in that and what are the functions? That's it. Okay. But I feel that little more in depth, because you know when you read it from the book, the main parts are not very clear. Okay, like where is the hindbrain? Because most of the entrance examinations they'll ask you to locate it. Where is the hindbrain? Where is the midbrain? All those things, right? So the location becomes very difficult sometimes. Okay, so try to get the class today. Try to get the class, get all the notes, and I hope that after this it will be very clear. Okay, please take the notes. Okay, so you can put the heading as human brain. Okay, so what all things you know about human brain? What are the three, like, can you first tell me, like, the box where the human brain is situated, what is it called as?
Skull.
Skull is like a very, you know, very simple language, simple meaning. Otherwise, what is it called as? There's another name for that. What is it?
Cranium.
Cranium. Very good. Okay. So please, coming to the 10th standard level, you don't write that it is called as a skull. Okay. Although the skull and this is same, but you please write it as cranium. Okay. So you just write that the cover. Okay. Sending the chat. What is it? Saisha, you are in 9th standard. No problem. No problem. This is common for both. Okay. So the human brain is situated in a protective box called cranium or skull. Okay, so brain is situated in a protective box called cranium or skull. Okay, now when you see this cranium or the skull, it is actually made up of three parts. Okay, this you might have learned in your previous classes. What are they called as? What are they called as? For the cranium, there are actually three layers. Okay, these three layers together form the cranium. Okay, so what are these three layers called as? Any idea? You have never heard of it? Vijay?
Not skeleton.
What is that, Saisha?
Not skeleton.
No. Skeleton is down. See, your brain is situated in a box. Okay, this is your skull, or it is called as cranium. So when you see this skull or the cranium, it is actually made up of three layers. Okay, So these, what is the name of these three layers? So it is like innermost layer, center layer, and outermost layer. Okay. So the, please write it, the outer. Just a minute. Yeah. So there will be three layers, right? One is the outermost layer, then the middlemost, and then the innermost. Okay. So the outermost layer is called as the dura mater. Okay. The outermost layer is called as the dura mater. Okay. mater. The outermost layer. Then you have the middle one, which is called as arachnoid matter, which is called as the arachnoid matter. Okay, arachnoid matter. And then you have the innermost one, which is called as the pia matter. Okay, so what I want to say that this cranium or the skull, it is made up of three layers. Okay, dura mater is the outermost one. Please keep in your mind, if you have, you please write it also and keep. This is the outermost one. This is the outermost one. Okay, dura mater, and then next to that you have the arachnoid matter, and next to that you have the pia matter. Okay, so together,
Matter is the innermost, ma'am.
what is that, Saisha?
Ma'am, pia matter is the innermost.
Innermost, yeah. This is the outermost, this is the middle, okay, and this is the innermost. Okay, so together these three, like pia matter, dura matter, and arachnoid matter, okay, together these three, they are only called as the meninges. Okay, sometimes they call as meninges, or you call it as a cranium, skull. Okay, different names are there. Clear? Please make a note of it. I just want to connect the charger. Just give me 2 minutes. Yeah. So is it clear? Have you made a note of it?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, you told that these three are called together called skull, ma'am, or
Yeah.
okay,
Or cranium. Right.
or
Okay.
cranium.
Yeah, cranium. CRANIUM. I have written here. CRANIUM. Okay. It is another name for the skull. Shall I rub this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Now the next one is brain is of 3 types, right? I mean, the brain, not 3 types. There are 3 parts of the brain. What are they?
Cerebrum, cerebellum, and brainstem.
What is the main one? That is not the 3. That is not the 3 parts. It is actually part of one of the part of brain. The brain is actually divided into the other 3 parts.
On the upper, middle, lower.
No? Where you got this name upper, middle, and lower? Upper, middle, and lower.
I heard somewhere, ma'am, like they were
Okay.
given upper, middle, and lower brains.
Yeah, it has a name.
Cranium,
What is that, Saisha?
neurocranium.
Neurocranium. No, what is it? Neurocranium. No, neurocranium is like the nerves which are associated with the brain. They are called as neurocranium.
Ma'am, like hindbrain, ma'am.
Very good, Vijay. Okay, it is forebrain. Okay, these are all very, very important things. Forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. Okay, forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. Okay, now I think first we have to. Okay, I'll just give you the division now. Okay, then I'll slowly give you the structure. See, in the brain part, the main thing is to the difficulty in the brain is the main difficulty which we face in understanding the human brain is its parts. Okay, so first I'll give you the parts, like where is it situated, how it looks like, because in different pictures you can see that it is different. Okay, so forebrain, when you see, it is actually cerebrum and diencephalon. Okay, diencephalon. These are the 2 parts of the forebrain. Okay, cerebrum and diencephalon. Okay. Midbrain, I'm just leaving it right now. I'll tell you afterwards. Okay, midbrain actually doesn't have a big parts. Okay. Next, for the hindbrain, you can hind or hindbrain in whatever way you want to pronounce it as. It is pons, medulla. Okay, medulla oblongata and cerebellum. Okay, pons, medulla oblongata and cerebellum. Okay. Once you write this, then I'll give you the structure of brain.
Completed.
Okay. Others? Sri Lakshmi, you are able to follow it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the diagram is like bit twisted. Okay. You have to slowly try to capture it. Okay. So as I told you, like in your to your level of your 10th standard and all, you have only you have cerebrum, cerebellum. So for your 10th standard, you have only cerebrum, cerebellum. Then you have what is that? Pons, medulla oblongata. All these things are only there. Okay. But when you go to your entrance level, you have to go little more in depth. Okay. So I have tried to cover in depth a bit Okay. So I'll just tell you by the diagram first. Okay. So see, you know that, yeah, you have to just assume it like you are standing facing to your left or right. Okay, not straight. The diagram which I'm going to draw is like you are standing facing to your right or left. Okay, so this comes your spinal cord at the back. Right, at the back you have the spinal cord. So what happens? You have the spinal cord towards the end of the brain, right? After that, you have the cranium, right? So if we say, because see the brain, the down part here, down, you have the spinal cord. The spinal cord only will go up to the brain, right? So let me take this as the spinal cord. Okay. After that, the very next part, or I can say that the first part which comes, so I am going to draw it from the down to the top. Okay, not from top to the down. From the down to the top, I am going to draw now. Okay. So the first part which comes after your spinal cord is your medulla oblongata. Just drawing one rough picture. Okay. So I can take this as the medulla oblongata. The first one. So I'm just giving you a rough picture. It doesn't look like this and all. Okay, I'm just giving you now how the parts are situated. That's all. Okay. So first it is spinal cord. On the top you have a medulla oblongata, right? After that, Donna, okay. Okay, so after medulla oblongata, the next one which you will have is pons. Okay, on that you will have the pons. So the next portion which you have is the pons. Right? Okay, so it actually in the books it will be given like this. Connected in this way. Okay, now when you see, like we are standing like this. Okay, so first is the spinal. My voice is clear, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so when you are standing like this is the spinal cord. After on the top of the spinal cord you have the medulla oblongata. On the top you have the pons. Okay, now side to the pons, like this is a brain stem. What Srihari said now, it's a brain stem starting from the spinal cord to medulla oblongata pons. It is a stem going on like this towards the top. Okay, side by in the pictures and all you can see that there is like a leaf like structure. Okay, that is your cerebellum. Okay, that is your cerebellum, and it actually comes between the pons and medulla oblongata. Okay, so when you see this one, the cerebellum, when you see the cerebellum structure, this cerebellum is actually two. Okay, there are two cerebellums which are closely attached like this. In this, okay, now I'll keep the cerebellum here. Okay, so you have a cerebellum, like if you're standing like this, it is protruding outside. Okay, if you're standing like this, it will be inside that, to a side, not like to one side of the brainstem. Okay, now on this top of, we have reached till pons, right? On the top of this pons, you have midbrain. Okay, so what we can say that this midbrain, I'll just write here, midbrain midbrain, then your pons, then your medulla oblongata. Okay, these three together is called as the brain stem. Okay, so it rises from the down from the spinal cord. Next, your midbrain. Okay, the medulla oblongata comes after your spinal cord. Then it slowly move up to the pons, and then finally it reaches to midbrain. So when you take your midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata, they together is called as the brainstem. Okay, so can you write the first sentence which I'm writing here? Spinal cord first extend upward to medulla oblongata, then to pons, and finally to midbrain. Okay, and then you can write this point: midbrain plus pons plus medulla oblongata, they together are called as what?
Brainstem.
They are called as brainstem. Okay, now see. Okay. Okay, now the next point is what? See, in our brain, okay, in our brain, from the center, there goes a tube. Okay, there is a tube which goes in the center. Okay, so that tube is actually called as a central tube, and sometimes in some of the books you can see that it is also written as the aqueduct. Okay, that aqueduct is filled with a fluid. Can you name the fluid?
Cerebrospinal fluid.
Yes, very good. CSF. Okay, so the next point you can write what I'm writing here. There is a central tube filled with fluid called CSF. Okay, that is cerebrospinal fluid. Okay, and the next point is very important. It starts from the midbrain. This is your midbrain. Okay, so when you see it actually starting from here, it comes like this, the tube. Okay, it is at the center of your head. So it starts from the midbrain and it reaches until medulla oblongata. Okay, but in between what happens when it is passing from medulla? Now listen to this point very clearly. When it is passing through the pons and medulla oblongata, okay, when it is passing through this region, when it is passing through pons and medulla oblongata, it is just widening like this. Okay, it is like the tube is coming like this, but when it reaches to pons and medulla oblongata, it is widening. It's becoming little thick. Okay. So when you see that under the microscope, it looks like it's protruding inside the cerebellum. So two cerebellums are there. I told you right here. Two cerebellums are there. So it is actually inside the groove of two cerebellum.
Ma'am, can you explain this point one more time?
Yeah. What I was telling you, like there is a tube which is in the center of our head. Okay. It is starting from our midbrain and it is going inside. Okay. So it is starting from a midbrain and it is passing through the pons, medulla oblongata. It is going down. Okay. But when it is passing through the pons and the medulla oblongata, it is widening. Okay. So it comes like this. So it has started from the midbrain and when it is coming down to the pons, it is like this. It's becoming little thick like this. Okay, and exactly
Why it is becoming thick, ma'am?
see, just to give the cerebrospinal fluid to the cerebellum also. Okay, to make it reach to the cerebellum, because cerebrospinal fluid has, I'll tell you what are the functions. So the sudden shock and all which our brain injury, the sudden shock and all which our brain receives, it is able to resist that. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now what they're saying, like the cerebellum is actually two parts. The cerebellum is two parts. It is in between. Okay. So it is present in between that two cerebellum parts. I cannot draw here two parts, but there are two cerebellums. So inside that only it is there. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, that means it becomes two side also wide, no, ma'am. It won't become only one side.
No, your cerebellum is like two halves. It goes inside that widening tube, get insert in between the two halves.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So now this portion where it is getting, see, before that I'll tell you, I'll give you this in writing. If you have finished the CSF, till CSF, I'll give you next in writing. Sri Lakshmi, you are able to understand. Giridhar, you joined.
Yes, ma'am.
You joined long back.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you are able to understand.
Yes, ma'am.
Srihari,
Ma'am?
you are able to understand.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sri Lakshmi. Sri Lakshmi,
Yes, ma'am.
you're able to understand. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay. So, so see, the brain structure which I'm teaching you now, you just learn that and go and get a detailed learning from, because in the books and all it is not given. Okay, so maybe you can Google it out or you can go to the YouTube and you can watch the structure of the brain. That time you will understand it more better. Okay, like when you once you write and keep all the points, and when you cross check with any other write-ups or any other books, because in your school books it's not given in so depth. Okay, if you have any other books which you have got it for your entrance or somewhat, you can just relate it with that. Okay. Yeah. Now, before going to the next point, I want to tell you one thing, that in our brain there are 4 ventricles. In our brain there are 4 ventricles. Okay, first ventricle, second ventricle, third ventricle, and fourth ventricle. Okay, so when you go from down to the top, okay, that is when you're going from the spinal cord medulla oblongata, pons, when you're going like that, this part, the protruded part which I told you. Okay, this part, this is called as our fourth ventricle. Ventricle always means a groove, like you have in the heart and all, right? Ventricles. Okay. In the same way, in your brain also you have ventricles, and this ventricle is called as your fourth ventricle. Okay, so there is a very important question which have come many times in entrance examination, that where is fourth ventricle of the brain situated? So you have to give the answer that the fourth ventricle is in pons and medulla oblongata. Okay, if they have given only the option pons, please tick that. If they are given only the option medulla oblongata, please tick that. Otherwise, most of the time they'll be giving you the option as both pons and medulla oblongata. Okay. Got it? Okay, now whatever I have written, I'll just give you. Shall I rub this? Have you made a note of it? Have you made a note of it?
Yes.
Yeah. This picture also have you? Yeah, Srihari.
Ma'am, what's the function of cerebrospinal fluid?
That I'll give you.
Yes.
Okay, it actually avoid our brain from the shock and all.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the sudden, like when we are in the stress or there is a trauma, there is an injury. So this fluid, see, whenever there is a fluid, the friction will be like the brain to have a good friction, like whenever you have a head injury or some sudden shock and all. So if there is a fluid in between, it will act as a friction. Okay, for that only we have the cerebrospinal.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, what is fourth ventricle?
Fourth ventricle is the same thing, this protrusion. The tube is coming, like the central tube is coming, and at pons and medulla oblongata it is getting stretched. Okay, that is called as the fourth ventricle. Okay.
Ma'am, it is getting stretched in cerebellum or what, ma'am?
Yeah, no, it's getting stretched and it go and fit in both the parts of the cerebellum. Cerebellum is a two part. Okay, it has two half. So it goes and get inserted in between that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you can write it. Okay, when the central tube passes through, when the central tube passes through pons and medulla oblongata, it widens to form fourth ventricle. Okay, and please write it, fourth ventricle is in pons and Okay. Next point you can write the beak in the sense the protruded part. Okay. The protruded part of fourth ventricle is inserted in cerebellum. Okay. The next point is the central tube which is a part of midbrain is called, this is very important, cerebral aqueduct. Okay. Now try to understand the central tube. The central tube which is going, it's starting from the midbrain. Okay, it's starting from the midbrain and it is going down till the medulla oblongata, right? When it is passing from pons and medulla oblongata, it is getting protruded. Okay, it is getting protruded and it is there between the cerebellum. Right. Now that's called as the fourth ventricle. Now the portion of the central tube which is in the midbrain, okay, that is where, from where it is starting, that portion is called that portion of the central tube which is there in the midbrain is called as cerebral aqueduct. So these are minute points which you have to keep in your mind.
Ma'am, can you explain the third point again?
See what I said, like the central tube, okay, the tube, it is actually starting from the midbrain. I'm just writing MB, midbrain, then it is coming to the pons and then it is going to medulla oblongata, right? When it is coming to the pons, it is getting like this. Okay, it is protruded like this. Okay, so now this is called as your fourth ventricle. This is your fourth ventricle, right? Now this portion of the central tube which is there in this portion of the central tube which is there in the midbrain, okay, that's called as your cerebral aqueduct. Did you understand?
Ma'am, that
These are separate names given, that's all.
yes, ma'am. The tube-like structure is called a cerebral aqueduct.
The tube is starting from the midbrain, it is coming till medulla oblongata. The tube is a big tube, but the tube in that portion of medulla oblongata, sorry, in the portion of that midbrain, this has a name.
And
What is that, Saisha?
ma'am, now I understood.
Okay, right. Others, you are able to understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Please make a note.
Ma'am, the cerebral aquagata is present in the midbrain, ma'am, or the first.
No. It is not present in it. It is the name given, Saisha. Like the tube is there, right? The tube is there. So it is just the name of the tube. The portion of the tube which is there in the midbrain. It is passing from the midbrain. It is coming till down, right? So the portion of the tube which is there in the midbrain, that portion alone is called as the cerebral aqueduct.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Shall I rub this?
Ma'am, that means till fourth ventricle it is cerebral aqueduct.
Yeah, cerebral aqueduct. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Shall I rub others? Sri Lakshmi, Vijay and all? Giridhar?
Yes.
Yeah. Sri Lakshmi?
Yes.
Yeah, the next one. Next, you can write it as so after this midbrain is there, right? After midbrain, so I have shown you the picture till midbrain, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I've shown you the picture till midbrain, right? So I'm just drawing on that, okay? So your midbrain is there, right? Now, I have drawn till midbrain, so I'm not drawing it now, okay? So on the roof of the midbrain, okay, on the top of the midbrain, there is, how can I draw that? I'll just draw it. There is a structure like this, okay? Okay. On the top of the midbrain. So we call it as on the roof of the midbrain, right? So on the roof of the midbrain, there is a structure which we call it as the third ventricle. Okay, I told you that we have 4 ventricles. One is towards the down, okay, towards the down, which I told you a protruded part. Then there is this third ventricle that is just on the top of the midbrain. Okay, just on the top of the midbrain, there is third ventricle. Okay.
Ma'am, midbrain is like tube-like structure or
Midbrain is not tube-like structure. It is a part.
okay.
Okay, the tube-like structure is only that aqueduct. There is no. We call it as central tube. Okay, we call the tube as a central tube. Only that portion which is there in the midbrain we call as aqueduct. Okay, midbrain is a part of brain. That's what I told you in the starting, right? The brain has divided into 3 parts.
Then
Okay.
what is the shape of the midbrain, ma'am?
Shape, like I will show you the actual brain structure. Okay, there is no shape like it is an oval shape or nothing like that. Okay, the complete brain doesn't have any shape at all. Okay. Now, so your now, so third ventricle is there, right? Now, on this third ventricle only, your third portion of the brain is situated. What is that? What is the third portion of the brain? Down you had this what to say?
Cerebellum.
Cerebellum was on the left hand side. Okay, you had medulla oblongata, pons, and midbrain. Okay, then you had that brain stem. Okay, on the top now what is going to come is your forebrain. Forebrain, right? On the top of this surface, you have the forebrain. See, I'll give you that. When I gave you that brain is divided into 3 parts: forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. I told you the hindbrain is what? Pons, medulla, and cerebrum. Yes or no? Pons,
Yes,
pons, medulla, and your side, that cerebrum, it is called as your hindbrain. Okay. That completely is called as a hindbrain. The midbrain is not having any division. It is just a midbrain. As I have shown here, it is just a midbrain. So down to the midbrain, whatever portion you got, that is your pons, medulla, and your cerebellum. Okay, they all were your hindbrain. They all were your hindbrain. Okay, now your hindbrain is over, your midbrain is over. Now on the top, you have the forebrain. Inside that forebrain only you have your third ventricle. Now I think it is very clear. Yes, Vijay, Sri Lakshmi and all.
Yes.
Okay, right. Now, okay. Now, here you have to understand one thing. Okay. This third ventricle is very important. Okay. Because in this third ventricle, back side. Okay. Suppose if I'm standing, turning my left. So, at the back side of the third ventricle, there will be a gland called as pineal gland. What is the name of that gland? Pineal or pineal gland. Okay. Right? So please understand this third ventricle in depth. Okay. Behind there is a pineal gland. Okay. And in that third ventricle, both sides. Okay. Both the sides, like this side and another one back side of this. Okay. You have thalamus. Okay. So on the roof of the, see, I'm going very deep. That's why I'm just repeating it again and again. Okay. Please don't get confused. Just listen to that and try to read it from somewhere once. Just if you just Google it out, structure of brain in detail, you will get all these things. Once you see, the picturization is very important. Once you are able to picturize it, you'll be able to understand. Otherwise, there is a third ventricle, then on third ventricle, there is a pineal gland, there is a thalamus. Where is it? That is very important. So on the roof of the midbrain, there is a third ventricle. Okay. Even that third ventricle is completely filled with the water, cerebrospinal fluid. Okay. In that third ventricle, back side, there is pineal gland. On both the sides, there are thalamus. Yes, friend, I am drawing here. There's one more on the other side, thalamus. Okay. So, and in this tip, this side, okay, there is a structure. It's like our soap box. It's completely like if I draw the third ventricle like this here. Okay. If I draw the third, my voice is clear. My voice is clear or not? What, Sri Lakshmi, Saisa, Vijay, you are all there or not?
There.
Okay. So, back side, there is pineal gland. On both sides, there is thalamus. Okay. And at the tip it is actually covering, like there is a structure which completely cover the tip. Okay, which is completely covering the tip. Okay. And that is called as hypothalamus. Hypothalamus.
Ma'am, can you explain this third ventricle again?
Third ventricle, you need not have to understand depth. The third ventricle has 3 parts. At the back side, there is a part called as pineal gland. On both sides, there is a part called as thalamus, 2 thalamus on both the sides. In the front, there is a part called as hypothalamus. That's all. You might have learned in your previous classes that our brain is completely in control of these thalamus, hypothalamus and all, right?
No, ma'am, they didn't even teach this.
Okay, so our complete brain is in control of this thalamus, hypothalamus and pineal glands. Okay, they are only the master glands of our complete body also, and even for our brain. Okay, what Sri Lakshmi, others, you are able to understand? And when you see down to this hypothalamus, there is another one structure which is attached to this hypothalamus. Okay, can you tell me what is that? A very important gland of our body.
And pituitary gland.
Very good, pituitary. Okay, let me tell you once more. On the surface of the midbrain, there is another one ventricle called as third ventricle. Okay, to the third ventricle. Okay, to the third ventricle, there are some organs situated or connected. Okay, what are they? At the back, it is pineal gland. On both the sides, it is thalamus. In the front, it is hypothalamus. To hypothalamus, there is another one gland which is attached called as pituitary gland. Okay, please draw this, then I'll tell you one more thing. Okay, shall we move to the next one? Okay, whatever I said, I'll just give you in the writing. You can write. My voice is audible. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. So you can write. There is another tank on the roof of mid-brain and from here, from there, third ventricle starts. I'm just giving you very rough, sentence formation. Please, all this grammar, everything you can check and you can write it. Okay, it is just have how I have written. I'm just writing it. Okay, above midbrain, we have oh sorry, above midbrain we have forebrain. Okay. So what we can say that our so if someone asks you that where is your third ventricle situated, so if the option is given as the midbrain roof, then you can tick that. Otherwise, it will be on the forebrain. Okay, that you have to check. So forebrain, either you can write it as third ventricle is situated on the roof of midbrain or in forebrain. Okay, so whichever option they are giving, you can write it. Okay. Okay, so the next point is behind the third ventricle, there is pineal gland. Okay, behind the third ventricle there is pineal gland, and there are two structures called thalamus. Thalamus on either side of third ventricle. Okay, behind the third ventricle there is pineal gland, and there are two structures called thalamus on either side of third ventricle. The next is at the tip side of third ventricle, at the tip side of third ventricle, there is a structure. Just write it now, then I'll. Have you completed this?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, can you explain this point?
This point only I have explained just before. What I have explained, I am writing that only. I told you
ma'am.
in the third ventricle, at the back side, there is a gland called as pineal gland. On both the sides, there are structure called as thalamus. Okay, and in the front, at the tip of the third ventricle, there is a soap-like structure, which is called as hypothalamus.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Have others finished? Vijay, Sri Lakshmi and all?
Completed, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Sri Lakshmi?
Completed.
Okay, Sri Hari Giridhar?
Done, ma'am.
So at the tip side of third ventricle, there is a structure. Okay, almost covered on both sides, called hypothalamus. Okay, below hypothalamus, we have pituitary. Okay. Now I'm just going to write here. So at third ventricle, okay, at third ventricle, we have pineal, okay, then we have thalamus, then we have hypothalamus, right? Right? So at third ventricle, we have pineal, we have thalamus, and we have hypothalamus, right? Now, this pineal is sometimes called as epithalamus also. It is sometimes called as the hypothalamus, right? So this now sometimes they'll ask you about the function of the pineal glands, okay? So this pineal glands, they help in release of melatonin, okay? There is a hormone called melatonin, and melatonin only help us to help our sleep and wake up cycle to channelize. Okay, so this is to channelize sleep, wake up cycle. Okay, and this three together. Okay, I have given in the starting, right? The forebrain is divided into the forebrain is divided in, I mean, there are two parts in the forebrain, cerebrum and diencephalon. Okay, so cerebrum and diencephalon. Now again, diencephalon I have divided into three parts. So these three are the parts of diencephalon. Correct? Yes or no? Understood?
Ma'am, can you explain this last point, ma'am?
This, which last point?
Help in release of that one, ma'am.
Nothing. Pineal gland, it is a gland, so it will release a hormone like thyroid. It produces a thyroxine hormone like that. So the pineal gland, it release a hormone called as melatonin. Okay. And the melatonin, because in our body melatonin is released only, we are able to sleep. I mean, at a particular time we are getting the sleep, and after when the melatonin goes down, we wake up in the morning. Okay, so it actually channelize our sleep and wake up cycle.
Ma'am, and the first point says what, ma'am?
Which point?
The structure almost covered on the both
That
sides.
is the continuation of the previous one. At the tip, I gave you, right? At the tip
Ma'am.
side of the
And-
third ventricle, I told you, at the tip of the third ventricle, there is a structure called as hypothalamus. And down to hypothalamus, you have pituitary.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, one more thing is very, very important. Please make a note of it. This thalamus, okay? This thalamus is actually the control center. You might have heard of also of this. All the information, see, from the spinal cord, suppose you have touched a hot pan. Okay, suppose you have touched a hot pan. So the message is coming from your hand and it is going to your brain. Okay, and from brain is taking a decision and it is coming back that you have to remove your hand. Okay, so actually where are these informations cross from or meet? Okay, so they all cross or they all meet at thalamus. Okay, so thalamus is actually the center from where the decisions are being taken. Okay, so for thalamus, you can write one point here that all the decisions are taken at thalamus. Okay. So actually, see, I told you now that this is the third ventricle. Yes, Aisha.
Ma'am, hypothalamus does the same thing what thalamus is, or it is different, ma'am?
No, they have different functions. That I'll teach you in the. They are all supporting glands, right? That you
Ma'am,
will see in the.
what
that-
is the process for hypothalamus, ma'am?
What is the process?
What it will do, ma'am?
Yeah, that's what all these glands I will teach you in another
Okay.
session. Okay, there are so many glands like thyroid, pineal, adrenal, ovaries, all these. There are so many glands. Okay, so about these glands and their functions, I'll teach you in another one class.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what I was telling you that, see, this is the third ventricle. Okay, so in this third ventricle, you have thalamus. Okay, so all the informations will come here, and from here only it will be that on the third ventricle. I told you what is situated. The forebrain is there. Okay, the forebrain, your cerebrum is there. So all the informations which are coming or going will ultimately come and meet in the thalamus. From thalamus only it has been decided that which part of the cerebrum we have to send the information. Thalamus only decides that. Okay, so thalamus is a very, very important part. Okay. Now, shall I rub this?
Yes.
Just write these 3 points. I'll explain it. Okay. Just write and explain this. This is about your cerebrum now. Okay. Okay. Just complete this and just tell me. Please. 2 minutes. It is just the structure of your cerebrum. Okay. With that, it will be over.
Ma'am, what is before? Ma'am, can you read the last line, ma'am?
Myelin sheath. Myelin sheath.
Okay, ma'am.
Myelin sheath and all I have taken in detail in the last class. If you get the recorded video, you can get it. Okay. I mean, all the videos are recorded. Okay. So shall I rub this?
Ma'am, can you explain this?
Yeah, I'm going to
more?
explain. I'm going to explain. I need to draw that, right? Vijay, Sri Lakshmi and all you are finished. Sri Hari,
Yes.
Giridhar.
Yes, now complete.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So now you just understand this cerebrum. Okay, that is your the top part, your forebrain. Okay. Now what they say, like your forebrain is here and your third ventricle is here.
Ma'am, this is forehead, no, ma'am.
What happened?
Ma'am, this is forehead you're drawing, ma'am.
Yeah, forebrain. The cerebrum is a part of forebrain only. I told you now before.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So now what happens? Third ventricle is here. In this third ventricle, you have the thalamus. So now all the informations are coming from here. Okay. And all the informations will go like this. So now actually, how are they coming and how are they going? They are coming and going with the help of the neurons. Correct. So who is passing the messages in our body? It is neuron. And last time I had clearly given you the structure of neuron. Okay. So it has dendrites like this. Okay. And then it has the axon. Then it has the nerve endings. Right. I don't know if Saisha will be able to understand. Okay.
Yes,
So this
ma'am.
is the structure of the neuron. Right. So now, see, now when you see the cerebrum like under the microscope and all, you can see that top part of the cerebrum, like here. Okay, top part of the cerebrum is completely gray in color. Okay, top part of this is completely gray in color. So that's why it is called as the gray matter of, when you read about the brain, you will understand that they say that the cerebrum of the, in your NCERT also it is written that the cerebrum of the forebrain is gray in color, gray and white both. So how it is gray and how it is white? Okay. So when you see the top part of the forebrain or the cerebrum, it is gray in color. Okay. Why it is gray in color? Why it is gray in color? Because see, in the last class I told you that in the axon, okay, in the axon there will be myelin sheaths. I told you in detail, right, in the last class. Yes, Srilakshmi, Vijay and all. What? You remember?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And these myelin sheaths is white in color. That also I told you. Okay. So
Ma'am, what is myelin sheath, ma'am?
myelin sheath and all, you have to see the last video, my dear. It's a big thing. It's a covering. It's a big story. Okay. So myelin sheath is actually an insulator. Okay, which covers this axon. Okay. So when you see this myelin sheath, it is white in color. So now what happens? When you see there is a neuron here, okay, and there is a dendrite here. It will be like this, right? So when you see the dendrites, they don't have the myelin sheath, so they look gray in color. So all the neurons will end up here in the cell body. I mean, all the neurons, this dendrite part will be on the top. So that's why, because it is not having the myelin sheath, it looks completely gray in color. So when you see this cerebrum under the microscope, you will see that at the center, in the center portion will be white in color. Okay, the central portion will be white in color, and at the end, at the top, it will be gray. Did you understand?
Ma'am, neuron will be in the straight line or it will be wherever. I mean, it will be at
It
the
will be
top.
completely a network.
It will be in the top or
Yes, top will be the dendrite part. Top will be the dendrite parts
Okay, ma'am.
because it has to receive.
And the bottom, it will be the middle, ma'am.
Middle will be the axon part, right? Middle will be the axon part because it is taking the information and sometimes it is bringing it back. So always in the center, you will see that there will be only the axon. So that's why it is white in color. Okay. So Aisha, you get the previous video and you can check it out. Okay. Myelin sheet I have given in detail. Okay. So that's all about the brain. I hope everything is clear. What about Vijay?
Ma'am,
I have,
I understood everything.
yeah, I have given very extra info. Those who know about the brain, I have given so many extra information. Please go and check it out from the Google or other source of book. Okay, so that you will come to know what is what. Okay, Sri Lakshmi.
Hello.
Yeah. Tell me, did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
But it's a bit confusing. Little bit. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So to do one thing, just whatever you have written, just go through top to bottom once more. Okay. And read somewhere, notes from somewhere. Check the picture. You will understand. In the next class, I'll try to bring the picture. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Srihari.
Understood, ma'am.
Okay. Saisha.
Understood, ma'am.
But you have the smiling sheet, all these things, you have to see the previous video. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, then thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.